So let me start with introducing you for those guys that haven't met you yet, in person, online, probably online, or in one of our many webinars. So Jen or Jennifer is part of the product management team and responsible mainly for the finance part. So everything that's really tricky and important, we'd go to her. And she also has the pleasure to run these webinars as a native speaker. So you might not struggle as much as I do, but we'll be fine. And yes, to myself, I'm a technical account manager and partner manager. So seeing some I know in the attendee list. I'd be joining and helping Jen out wherever I can, but Jen will lead the presentation here.
So yeah, the first thing that we are going to look at is the media search, where we have two enhancements for you, one in the area of check availabilities and the other in the targeting group filtering. So I'll just quickly jump over here to our demo org. Just jump over here. And so the first thing that we have is the check availabilities. And I think everybody, of course, on the line knows that one big problem or big task when creating media campaigns and campaign items is knowing which inventory is available and how much is available of that given inventory. And especially when you have already maybe configured the inventory and then you only check the availability when you're in the media config or even later when you've already created the item. So now it is actually possible to do this check in the media search itself. So here we have a sample campaign, and if we just jump over to the media search very, very quickly. I think if anyone who was in our last release webinar, they would have actually seen this same improvement for our non-digital, but of course now it's available for digital. And what it does is it shows the results for you directly in here. So I just have my rate card here with a simple price attached to it. So we will just filter here for a particular date. We press filter. And if the section is not there for you as well, your admin can of course add that to the filter section. What is shown in your media search filters is entirely custom. And as you can see there now already, it tells you that the exclusivity check is done and that I am seeing the matching results in my results list. So that is configurable. You can configure it to only show the available inventory, or you can configure it to show all inventory. And what you will also additionally see here is not only that this is available, but it will tell you how much is available.
Nice.
Yes. Very, very
nice.
useful.
So you already get the units in there. That is
exactly
nice.
Yeah. It's a bit over here to the right at the moment, but yes, it is there. It's
of course,
available.
I have to run it again, right? If I then actually sell the campaign a month later.
Of course, yeah. But at least you know now that you're not selecting it and going into the media config and then realizing, oh, actually, I should check if it's available at all. You already know this, so you're really kind of cutting down on the back and forth between the media search and the media config and just making the process itself a lot smoother. Yes, exactly. And like I said, that is configurable. You can configure to show this information, and as you just saw there, the results did not take long to show. Of course, depending on how much results are going to show, how much inventory is available or how much inventory needs to be checked, that can of course vary how long the check takes.
So the admin has to turn this feature on also for the media search. There's not like a button say, now I want availability, now I don't.
Well, it's only if you put in the dates, because then it has a time range to check for you.
Yeah.
So if there are no dates, it will just run the normal check as per usual. But when you have the dates in, then it will, or it'll run the normal search, sorry, as usual. And then with the dates check, it has something to check. Of course, it doesn't know how much you want to book right now. I think with this many units, you're probably okay. But yeah, it has a given time range.
And budget means what there? Budget
there will also be additionally a budget. This is just the beginning of a feature. So the time period is currently implemented and the budget will come along as an additional enhancement to our Media Search Plus.
Very nice.
Future improvement. Yeah. So that is the check availability in the media search. The next thing that we have is targeting groups as well as targeting group filtering. So I'll just quickly jump over here and show you my targeting groups. So targeting groups are, of course, a very useful way of grouping together different targeting information for a much more efficient way of sorting through your inventory. So what that means is it will allow you to group together things. For example, you have placements, ad types, ad prices, content, ad specs. So if I jump in here, for example, and I look at my foodies group that I created earlier, you just can give your group a name and then you can assign different things to it. So I, for example, have made this group based on content assignments. So it shows, if I search in a minute, which I'll show you, if I filter for this particular targeting group, I will have all inventory returned with this particular audience. So that's the most important part of this, is that it allows you to book based on the target audience. So for example, you're booking based on, instead of booking on the inventory names, the internal inventory names. So here, for example, we have the foodies ones. So that will allow you to book inventory where you know that this specific foodie target audience will be targeted. So if we quickly jump over to the media search, I can show you what that actually means in practice. Just jump on over here. My laptop seems to have gotten loud in the background. I hope that's not too interfering for anybody. She's a bit tired, I think. Yeah, so here we have one of our sample media campaigns. So if we just go into the media search, you will see it in the filter section. Again, this is something that would need to be added by your admins, and the documentation, of course, gives all the information about that. But down here you have this just targeting groups filter. So I showed you the foodies one, but for example, if we do travel,
so the box above is the old targeting group, right?
Yes,
because
that's the old
it
one.
seems to be a little confusing. That was just a drop down, a random.
Yeah,
that had no
this
real
is
functionality. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas this one you configure and you create the targeting groups yourself, and then you can search by those. So now when I say travel, where that's the audience that I'm interested in targeting, and I press filter, I will only be shown the inventory which meets those targeting groups. Of course, I don't have much here available because of my dollar at the moment. I'm the US dollar. But as you can see, it's quite simple, and you can also do multiple groups. You can look for foodies and travel, and you press filter.
So I assign that to my inventory, right? So that I get the matching in.
Yes. Yeah, so where the contents, so I've created these targeting groups based on contents, and where those contents are selected contents for those given ad specs, you will then see the resulted ad prices here.
Okay, so actually the contents, I don't have to assign the targeting groups themselves to the
no.
ad spec, which I can also do, I've learned, right? I can assign targeting groups to my inventory and push a full group, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that feature is still in progress at the moment. I'm not exactly sure at what stage that part of it is. But yes, in what I'm showing here is that I've grouped together different contents based on different audiences, and then when I'm filtering and searching for that, these are the results that I'm getting for ones that have those assigned.
No, I'm just learning. This is an extensive feature because the other part is also halfway there. I think in the last release, or yeah.
Yeah, and this is quite a big improvement to our Media Search Plus, where we're really trying to up the game as to how you're searching through your inventory, because of course we are aware that a lot of customers do have quite extensive inventory, which can be difficult to navigate through when you need to know all the internal names. Whereas instead here, this is focusing on the goal and the outcome of the campaign that you're booking.
And the old feature, targeting sets, is that still around?
Yes, you can actually make you can make groups of targeting sets as well. You can group together your targeting sets in a group. That's still in progress. That's not, I think, currently done yet. Of course, I can check later with our other PM where that is, but you can also group together targeting sets here. So this is another layer on top, basically, another envelope, another way to categorize things.
So you have some kind of hierarchy, right? You have your individual targeting, then you have the sets, and then you have the groups.
Yes. So ways to kind of group everything together, and yeah, and then easier search through your inventory.
Okay.
So that is the media search improvements for today's webinar. The next thing is not something that I will actually demo. I'll just kind of explain a little bit what it is. For our Connect users that are here, we have two very key features that are now available through flows, which are the, I don't have any items, of course, which are the submit to ad server and the check availability. So now with this possibility, users can make their own flow. They can create custom logic around these particular features. So the submit to ad server and check availability. So for example, you could carry out the check availability in a custom guided process. Or the most prominent example that I've heard of is that you can create your own submit to ad server process with custom validations. So for example, you're only able to submit once an item has reached a certain stage or once a certain availability is reached. So that way to prevent, for example, overbooking. That's not something that I'm going to demo here today. It's just kind of an information that it is available. So anybody who does have interest in those features and wants to mess around a bit with the flows, yeah, it is available.
That is a nice feature, because I had many customers ask for how can we force our salespeople to do the availability check right before, like right before you're submitting, because they do it like some days, or even months before, and then things change, and all of a sudden, boom, somebody else has booked.
Yes, exactly.
Then it's a whole nightmare of you know, all the way up to like issuing a credit note back to the customer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that is nice. That is nice.
So
And then you just build your own button, call our features, which yeah, you couldn't do before.
No, you could not. So it's quite a big improvement, and also
Good.
very, very important for our self-service projects as well. So we're very excited to have that available.
I want to use that in my next project.
Yes.
Yay.
For your next project, your next demo, you can do that. The next one then is back to the demo, and what that is a very exciting feature, especially for the finance team. It was one of our big goals for the year, which is to implement and support the subscription model of billing. So basically for our users on the line, that is their recurring advertising. And what is so useful, of course, for recurring advertising is that you're ensuring a constant stream of revenue because it is a regular income, it's recurring, it continues. And we wanted that to be possible without the excessive admin or resource-heavy processes that usually come with such things, where there's a regular interval of billing. I'll just quickly jump over and show you one of our pre-made records. So what we have here, I think everyone, of course, on the line is aware that the subscription business model is a very prominent across basically every industry. You have, like phone subscriptions, TV, food, travel, transport, all of these things are available. And of course, that is no different in the advertising landscape. So it's becoming much more common there as well. And through use of the invoicing model within ADvendio, you can have the invoices automatically created, and you can have your contracts or recurring advertising automatically renewed. And what that will do, of course, is it will save you time, and of course then save you money in managing this recurring advertising, because there's less admin costs and more profit in the end, of So
yeah, we definitely
have
have customers that use that. So you know, the reoccurring, especially monthly fee, that is always the same, and you get a special service. So
exactly.
Yeah, I'll sign that up. I see in a subscription object now, a new
yes, it's a completely new a new object. So here we have the subscription object where you'll kind of configure the information. Of course, a lot of the information here will be seen as duplicate to the media campaign technically. You'll create the accounts that you want, the legal entities. You can even put discounts. You put the payment information. You then can set up the period, so you can have monthly subscriptions. I can just quickly click in here and show you. You can have weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, and custom. And the period is very important because then with the automated renewals, we'll know automatically how long to renew it for. So of course, with a monthly subscription, we will renew it for a month. Custom is different, does not actually renew. It allows you to do things that are a bit outside of the norm subscription timeframes, but that's all covered in our documentation, of course. It does not have to be from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. It can be from the middle of the month to the middle of the next month. I just happen to make them always out of habit from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. Very hard.
So the 20th to the 20th, some months further away is possible.
It will be the 20th of one month until the 19th of the next month. So that
exactly.
Yeah. So you create that, and then what you do is you have your subscription at price assignments, and basically what that is it's the items that are being sold as part of the subscription. So here, for example, we have a half-page special feature, and if I just quickly click into edit just to kind of show how that is, it is a connection to the ad price. We give it a little kind of, you know, a nicer kind of user-friendly name. Also has the runtime and the quantity, and you mark it as valid for renewal. So that way the renewal process knows this is a valid for renewal item, of course. And what you do then with these, so for example, we have this one created, we have our assignment. It is active, approved, closed, and won, so it's ready to go. You can press generate media campaign here directly on the subscription contract if you want, or you can wait until the batch process, which would normally be scheduled, would do it as well. But I don't know, maybe you just really want to create it now. And then if we go back here, we have a media campaign created for it for the monthly revenue that you will get from this media campaign. And what that will do then is if it renews, I can also run that just very quickly here in the background. So this is a monthly contract, and if it's so that item is valid for renewal, it has not been cancelled. You know, it's left here as cancelled as empty, and it has a cancellation period of 10 days. So if this is not cancelled within 10 days of the end, which of course is today, and it's currently not cancelled, it will automatically renew. And what that means is it will extend the contract until the next month, and it will also extend any items or any assignments which are valid for renewal also until the end of the next month.
I see.
So what that would mean is then you end up with something, for example, like this. When the renewal runs in the background, you then get an extension. So you will have a contract which is valid from the beginning of September now until the end of October. It has rolled to the next month. And if you look over here at your assignments, you have again, that is also rolled. And you now have two media campaigns, one for September, one for October. And that will continue to happen. And these are created automatically ready for billing. So they are, of course, once you've set your payment information here in your subscription, but they're also created as booked and bill me true. So that means that unless something is canceled, the recurring advertising can continue to roll. Media campaigns will continue to get created and will go through your automated invoicing processes without any need for any additional manual work.
Hi. Okay. Is there a document attached to it? I mean, do I have a contract on the subscription or whatever the agreement is? As I see the quote preferences and that.
There isn't specifically one here, but you could probably use the Salesforce notes and attachments section, but that is definitely something. So like just to clarify as well about this, the recurring advertising within our product, it's very new. We're very interested to speak to customers who have an interest in using this, who would like maybe to discuss their use cases. So if there is maybe exactly some additional elements like that, contract management or something that you want on top of that, please feel free to reach out. We're very open to discussing additional use cases on this particular feature.
Right.
Yeah. That is a very important point to find out. Thank you. I would have forgotten to say that until the end if you had not.
Very good. Yeah. Then we can build and make this actually useful, having a real life use case, hopefully.
Exactly. Yeah, we've spoken to a few customers already, and we've tried to just kind of make sure that we met those needs. But of course, before we went on and made it too advanced in any particular direction, we want to make sure that it's usable for customers and that they can give us feedback so we can really take that on board. at the moment. Yeah, so that is our recurring advertising within ADvendio. That is the first of our 2 new invoicing models. So the second invoicing model that we have to show you here today is our time-based invoicing. And what we're seeking to address here is, of course, invoicing based on actual time spent for particular types of inventory in a quick and easy way. So we actually do a very similar type of invoicing ourselves. And with this ADvendio's newly created timesheets and timesheet activity, you can now invoice your time-based inventory based on logged activities in a given month, or year, or week, or the entire runtime, depending on when you, of course, are invoicing. And what you need to do in order to do this, is we'll just quickly jump over here into our media search, is you have to flag a line item as being time tracking relevant, which means that the invoice when it's being, or the item when it's being invoiced, will be invoiced based on the relevant activities and not on linear distribution or, of course, delivery data, because these are not usually delivery data relevant inventory.
Think of like things like production cost, where you have a group of staff producing something and tracking the hours it takes them to produce a video or some other thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
or
then,
you've got design work or anything like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we've also created a new billing category to add to those, because we already have cost per day, cost per week, cost per month, for example. But of course, I think the most regular billing and invoicing on time spent is usually per hour. So we've added a new billing category. The steps, of course, to adding that to your billing category selection will be in the wiki. So if I filter here for my cost per hour, I get, I believe, just 1. I configured it to just give me 1. The media search does give more than 1. I've just configured it today to only give me 1. And if I press Start Media Configuration, we'll see that I have added this flag, or this checkbox, to our media config, which allows the user to say, okay, this is going to run, for example, the month of September, of course, or next month, which would be October. And you just click that it is time tracking relevant. And then when you're creating invoices for this item, it will know to look at the activities. You can, of course, put in a planned quantity. Okay, we plan on maybe, I don't know, 20 hours or something like that for this particular line item. And then as you add the activities, they will get rolled up to your revenue schedule. So if we just go back here quickly, and I'll show you the one that we have created already. And we can create a new activity here live on the webinar. Oops. So we have created an item here, which I marked as time tracking relevant when I was creating it. And if we just jump on over, we'll see that in the related list, we have the timesheet activities. And I've already created 2 sample ones. So if I just press new, I can say, for example, you can pick the timesheet that you want to assign it to, or of course you can also put custom logic here that would fill that based maybe on your day, for example. Let's say today. Let's put in one for today. And what will we say? We'll just do webinar example. We won't be too creative. And a duration of 2 hours, we can say. And then you just press save. And that then adds to the timesheet activities that you already had created, that I already had created. And now when I invoice for September, I will expect to have a quantity of 9, because that's how many activities I have. These are rolled up as well to your revenue schedules, of course. If I jump back over to my media campaign, for example, and I go to my invoices. So this works like the delivery data in that the delivered quantities need to be updated on the given invoices. So if I just jump over here to my pre-invoice for September and I press update delivered quantity, this of course was created earlier. So if I press update delivered quantity now, I will expect it to increase because I've now added 2 new activities to my item, my timesheet activities. And that works away now. Or did I already update it earlier?
So that button now updates the delivered quantity for digital as well as updates the time tracking.
Exactly. If you had both types of inventory within the same invoice, both would get updated.
Oh,
Exactly. So it does both. And as you can see
Can
here,
I
yeah,
also
my amount.
override those with manual data if I need to make any correction and maybe my staff has edited or entered 120 hours and now I have discussions with the customer and I maybe run it down to 100?
You can then change the activities as well if you wanted to, or you could do it in the same way as the other one. You can change it directly on the invoice. The one difference, or invoice item, sorry, the one difference to delivery data, which might make that situation slightly confusing, is that in the invoice item, when you press the update delivered quantity, you now have your relevant timesheet activities linked to the invoice item.
Okay.
And that is here, of course, to help for reporting and
Yeah.
also to kind of increase transparency as to what exactly were those 9 hours that you invoiced me. That's what they are. So of course, if you did overwrite the delivered quantity with a new one, it might get a bit confusing because then here you do have that connection, which you don't have for delivery data. But of course, it is still possible. And
But I have in revenue schedule those extra fields for, I don't know if those are even
yeah,
used.
the manual
The
fields.
manual and the third party and the
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Okay.
You have those there. So it is possible, but of course, then that could also even be better
Yeah.
because then you have the activities to report and you could compare the activities to the invoiced quantities and see any discrepancies potentially where you maybe have to do, like you said, some discussions and comp a few hours. That could also be a very useful thing now that you do have the activities linked to the timesheets or to the invoice items.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
A lot of magic.
Yes.
Nice.
2 new billing models in the in this release, in this summer release. One thing that I could also mention is that the timesheet. So what I showed you there is the creation of the timesheet activities, and then
Yeah.
you assign
How
them
did
to
the
given times.
timesheets get created, right?
Yes,
That was another
exactly.
magic.
Yeah, so the timesheets are something that we really left open to the users in order to ensure the greatest degree of flexibility because we weren't exactly, we didn't want to force customers to use it one way or the other. We wanted to really allow them to do whatever it is they need. So you can, of course, here I have a media campaign. You can set up automatic, or you can create your timesheets manually, of course, or you can also create custom triggers and custom logic that will automatically create the timesheets for you where a time tracking item has been created. So for
Right.
example, I wanted to demo today, I wanted to show that I could create timesheets per month per media campaign when I have a time tracked item. So here I have a time tracked item that runs from the beginning of September until the end of October. And if I look here in my list, my sizable list, I have a timesheets section here where I have a timesheet for September and a timesheet for October. And that is something that's done completely custom. We will provide examples in our wiki as to how users can achieve this. So you'd have to create, for example, your own fields on the timesheets for media campaigns and a custom trigger on the campaign item. But this seems to be the best approach because that way people can really do whatever it is that they want to do with the timesheet creation.
Right, right. They might even have an external system to track time where you just feed the data in here.
Exactly. Or they may, I don't know, just make one timesheet manually per project that's going to last over a few months and
Right.
have many different media
Yeah.
campaigns underneath it. So it's really open to customers how they want to do it. Like I said, we'll give them a basic example of this type of creation, but they can do whatever they would like to do with it. The only thing that's, so to say, relevant for the invoicing is that once time tracking is ticked, the invoicing knows to look at the timesheet activities for the delivered quantities.
Right.
Yes.
Cool.
So the next, yeah, the big one, right?
Yeah.
Customers will hopefully be happy with that. We're really looking forward to seeing how they use it and what they get up to with it. Our next thing is not going to be demoed either. I'm just going to show you a little screenshot of it. I'm pretty sure all of our Connect users here today are familiar with it. And that is we have a new Lightning UI. So we're here on the second last point for the delivery data and programmatic import. So if I just take a quick slip over here, you can see that we've remade the existing delivery data import center in the new Lightning design. This isn't necessarily a new feature, so to say, because of course it already existed, but it is a very key part in kind of our overall project to ensure that our features are all migrated to Lightning Design. As you can see here from the screenshot, of course, it's a good place that you have all of your information together. You can see the report type, you can see the next and last execution, and the current status. You can click into edit or delete them directly from this view. You can also then plan your next delivery reports, or of course delete all planned reports. You really have, quite a degree of flexibility there. One key thing that we did do here, which is quite a major improvement, is that when you are now planning a new delivery report, it actually does not need, or no longer needs, should I say, your login details. So previously, when you were planning a new delivery report, you would need to put in the login details for that given connection. That's no longer needed. And this is, of course, also a little jump ahead to a point that I'll discuss later, is that this is really improving the security and handling of the usernames and logins that we have within ADvendio.
Yes, that was definitely not super nice to have a readable password before. So that's gone, right? Yay.
Yes, that'll be the last point that I'll talk on, that overall that is gone as well. But also here, that was just in the context of the delivery center. You no longer need to do that. It will use the login details that you have saved in the login records.
Yeah.
The next point, which is related similarly to this, is that you are now able to schedule the automatic sync of inventory and targeting information with the integrated ad servers, SSPs, and DSPs directly from the relevant logins. So as you can see here, I just get a little screenshot, because of course this was also available before, as in like you could do an import before, so it's a new action to demo. But what is different is now you're able to actually schedule it as well. And this is very important because particularly for things such as audience targeting or video inventory, which can change regularly, and where you would really want your ADvendio information to be as up-to-date and selectable as possible, this guarantees kind of a continuous import, whereas before you had to remember to go and actually press a button and do that sync manually.
Right, ad ops had to talk to the admin and say, hey, we need to import, we're not finding our data. Yeah.
And now it can all be
cool.
set up to happen in the background.
So I can always have like a nightly run or a monthly or a weekly or whatever.
Exactly, whatever meets your given needs. And the same as before, you can set it up for the different inventory on different schedules, because of course some might need to be updated more frequently than others. And yep, that's done on the login or the connection itself directly. So then the next point that we have is, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a demo because I won't actually show anything, but it is a very, very valid improvement that we had in our, I think it was our 2.130 release, and that we're taking many, many steps, of course, to ensure the integrity of the data that you store in ADvendio. And one of these improvements is that we have automated the encryption of your login details. So what that means is that when users install version 2.130, that all of their existing logins are encrypted, and any new login will be encrypted upon save. And so, of course, that's something that will happen automatically and should not really impact the usage of the features, so to say. But of course, we have highlighted it in our release notes as a breaking change. So we'd recommend, of course, that you go on, have a look through and read these instructions, which are linked to from the release notes for 2.130. And just make sure that you understand what happens, what maybe you should test a little bit before you release it. But it's a very, very good and a very important improvement that we have made there.
So breaking change always sounds a little scary. Do I have to be scared to update now?
No, no, we only we like to use that phrase, in the software world, just to make sure people really understand that there is an impact there. It's not that it's breaking, so to say, but it's really to kind of get your attention to it and have a look and make sure you understand what's happening and what's changing. But yeah, don't be afraid. Right? Yes. Well, of course, we recommend that usually for every major release that's being installed, that you test it, make sure your key features are running as expected. And like I said, there shouldn't be a big change for that. And on a related note, which was actually done in the same release, I believe, the 2.130, as any of the users who are currently on the line will have probably already noticed, is that we have actually renamed one of our key objects in ADvendio. So what was previously known as ad server login is now called connections. And that was done in order to reflect the changing landscape where, of course, users now are using a whole host of different connections, not just ad servers. I tried as much as I could not to say the word ad server too much during this webinar. Of course, it's something that's a bit of a habit at this point, but we have changed the naming of the key objects around that to connections. There are still, of course, some references here and there to maybe like ad server ID assignment in certain places, or some labels here and there that have that still have the word ad server in it. But overall, we're kind of, the major things have changed to connection, and we will work on the rest as we go along. But same with the encryption, so to say, it should not impact anything. It's just a changing of name. Of course, everything in the code uses the labels, the API names in the background. So that should not be a problem. But of course, just, you know, always look through and then inform your users as well, so that they're not searching for ad server logins and they can't find it in the tabs, because now it's been renamed to connections, for example.
I see. We're not quite as bad as Google. I'm still saying DFP sometimes. I'm like, oh no, it hasn't been called that for way long.
Yeah, I'm also a very big creature of habit when it comes to names of things. So when I get used to stuff, it's very hard for me to switch over. So
I
slowly but
know.
surely, I will stop saying the word ad server, and I will say connection, just to kind of make sure it's an umbrella term that does everything.
Yes.
Yes, so as I said, all of these things are our summer 20 release, summer 20 release. The information is, of course, and now I'm getting confused. Is it 21? Is it 20? No, summer 20. They're, of course, all in our release notes, and all of the related wikis are linked within the release notes. You can find them there. And what was I just about to say is that we have our new webinar recordings page as well. So what we have here is we're kind of building up, I think in the last year or so, you will have of course realized that we're doing a lot more webinars. Even before Corona kicked off, we were really kind of putting emphasis on getting a host of videos out there that could be informative, educational, and helpful for our users. So everything that has been done before, for example, the release webinars, any support topics, partner stories, those informative feature style webinars that I spoke about earlier, they're all available on this webinar recordings page. This webinar, of course, will be available on that page as well in a few days or so. Yeah, and of course we also have our webinars page where you can go on and sign up for upcoming webinars as well. Yeah, so whoops. Oh, cool. We are already to the question and answer section. I was about to say we're finished. We're not. We didn't do our questions yet. Yeah, so if you still have a question, of course, don't worry. You still have some time. You can get in your questions, or if something comes into your mind later, you can, of course, drop us an email or open a case at support@advendio.com. But yeah, usually we'll hand this over and Catherine will ask the questions and I will do my best to answer.
I can read the questions to you. The very first one is about the submit and check availability, those flows. And somebody is asking, are there pre-made flows included for the submit to ad server and check availability? So is there anything in the package that we can reuse or modify?
No, so at the moment there is not anything included, so we don't have any package flows, so to say. You can, of course, make use of the Salesforce technologies and create your own flows. But I would recommend, of course, keep an eye on our flow extension. So we don't usually add flows directly to our ADvendio core package product. We do have a flow extension where we do put in such flows. So I'd say definitely keep an eye out there, because any such packaged flows, so to say, would be included in that extension. At the moment, there are not any, but I know that the Connect PM has ideas and thoughts of what would be useful. So of course, also if you have suggestions, feel free to also send those our way.
Right, and also ask your technical account manager, as we can help you build flows.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to do flows, give us a call, write us an email, and we can help you set one up that is exactly custom made to what you need.
Exactly.
So let's see. Next question. New planning center. The question is, do I need to redo or reschedule my existing import jobs? So if I upgrade and have the old ones in there, will they be there?
Yes, they will still be there. So there's no need to kind of redo or reschedule anything when you're wanting to use the new planning center or when you're installing the new version. Simply
Okay,
just install it and you'll see your existing jobs in this new pretty lightning design.
that's good, because I
No
remember
additional
there
work.
were sometimes hiccups that these
Oh,
jobs had to be rescheduled and somehow were not running.
oh, okay.
Maybe that's history then with the new connection.
Yeah. There's no need. Everything should work seamlessly. There
Cool.
should be no need to do any additional steps.
Very good. That's
Mhm.
good news. Third question on subscription. Uh, do I need to configure anything additional to use downstream processes, such as third-party commission payout or publisher payout?
Not
Interesting.
specifically. Yeah, it's actually a good point. Because one thing that I did mention, of course, is that one of the benefits of using the subscription is that you get your invoices created automatically, etc. But you also get to use the downstream processes from that, which are, of course, third-party commission, publisher payout, accounting records, all of the things that usually would kind of come after the point of invoicing. And when you're creating or configuring your recurring advertising, you don't need to do anything additional, so to say, but just simply create them with the desired TPC, a third-party commission, or account. And once those are created and invoiced, they will then get picked up by the downstream processes, just like any other media campaign and invoice would. So they don't need any additional flag or any additional steps, so to say. Once it's created, it's treated just like everything else.
I see. Okay, there is a question that is not related to our subjects, but from the webinar,
Mm.
and it says e-signature, and actually I noticed that also, and I think that's a really cool thing. So
Mm.
the question is not related to what you demonstrated today, but I noticed a send to DocuSign button on a media campaign or on media campaigns. Does
Mm-hmm.
this work with ADvendio document?
So yeah, what they were seeing there was our demo org. So maybe maybe perhaps a bit more
Yes.
about the integrations
Yeah,
there.
as far as I know. So I have also customers that have done it or want to do it. So with DocuSign, you have to, of course, license DocuSign, and then you can integrate it with ADvendio so that you can have your proposals signed digitally. So I think there are even other systems than DocuSign, but DocuSign is the one that we have implemented in our demo. So
Yeah.
yes, that works. There is an integration to Salesforce, and that way it also integrates to ADvendio.
Hmm. Very, very.
And if you need help, also call your technical account managers.
Exactly.
This is my
Exactly.
advertising section here.
Yeah. Selling our cans. Rent an
Oh,
admin, right? Rent somebody to
exactly,
help
exactly.
out.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Was that all the questions that we have for
Um,
today?
yeah, if nobody raises a hand right now, like last call for
Mhm.
questions. Um,
Okay. Great. Then
right. Then
that is our
I guess we're
session.
through.
Yeah. So as Katrin said, of course, you can feel free to reach out, of course, to your technical account manager. You can open a support case, or our contact details are here on the screen as well. If you have any questions or important information, or you would like to discuss enhancements or use cases for the topics that we discussed today in the webinar, feel free to reach out. We're here every day for you. Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much, Katrin,
Yes.
for joining me today.
Thank you, Jen. That was fun.
Thank you.
Haven't been here
And
for a while.
thank you very much for your feedback, everybody, and we wish you a good rest
Nice.
of the week.
All
Yeah,
right.
great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.